My name is Carla Holloway and I hit the floor right in front of my entire family on Christmas Eve, food spilling across the table and onto me. My side throbbing because my stepbrother Zane shoved me hard away from the spot under the old wall clock and snarled, "That seat belongs to my dad. Get out." For a moment, no one moved. The Christmas lights twinkled in the background, forks froze midair. I looked up at Zane's smug half-grin and waited for my mom to say something, anything to defend me. She didn't. She just turned away, pretending the mess on the floor was the real issue, not the person lying in it. That was the instant something inside me shut off. Not explosive anger, but something quieter, colder, irreversible. Lansing, Michigan is my home. Cold winters, quiet neighborhoods, simple life at the local accounting firm. I'm 34 now and I've always lived by straightforward rules. Show up, keep your promises, handle your own business. At this age, your reputation is everything. And that's why that spot under the clock mattered so much. It was the place we always took family photos every holiday, right under my late father's old wall clock. The only thing he left me before he passed when I was 12. I'd kept it polished, made sure it hung straight in the dining room of my mom's house. For years, it felt like holding on to a piece of him. That night, something broke for good. I pushed myself up slowly, ignoring the pain shooting through my side, and walked out into the freezing Michigan night without a word. As I sat in my car, engine running, watching the house lights from the driveway, I knew a decision had already been made. One that would change everything forever. If this story hits close to home, if you've ever felt like an outsider at your own family table or had your kindness taken for weakness, drop a comment below and tell me your thoughts. Share this with someone who needs the reminder that you're not alone. And if you want more real stories like this, stick around with us. I drove away from that house in the heavy Lansing snow, tires crunching over the frozen streets as I headed back to my small apartment on the east side of town. The pain in my side throbbed with every bump in the road, but I kept the heater blasting and the radio off. No Christmas music to mock me tonight. Lansing, Michigan has always been home. Cold winters that bury everything under layers of white, quiet suburbs where neighbors wave from their driveways while shoveling snow. Friday nights at local spots like the corner pub with craft beer on tap and conversations about high school football games that still matter years later. I'm 34 now, working as an accountant at a mid-sized firm downtown, steady paycheck deposited every 2 weeks. Full benefits, the kind of job that lets you pay bills ahead of schedule and build a modest emergency fund. I've lived carefully ever since Dad passed when I was 12. Thomas Holloway fought a long illness that drained everything, leaving behind medical debts Mom struggled with, and that old wall clock he picked up at a flea market one summer. The glass face has a faint crack from when we moved after the funeral. The hands move a bit slow if you don't wind it regularly, but the tick-tock is steady, reliable. The only constant sound from my early childhood I can still recall clearly. Mom kept the clock after he was gone. Elaine hung it right in the center of the dining room wall when she remarried Michael Larson a few years later. "It's the one thing your father left specifically for you," she told me back then. "Well, keep it there so you always remember him when we gather." Michael didn't object. He was a quiet man. Steady job in manufacturing at one of the plants outside town brought his son Zane into our lives as part of the package. Blended family, everyone called it. I tried my hardest to make it feel natural. That's why about 3 years ago, I decided to use a big chunk of my savings, the money I'd scraped together slowly by living frugally, driving the same reliable sedan for a decade, skipping trips or big purchases to completely redo the dining room at their house. The old floor was worn linoleum peeling at the corners and stained from years of spills. The walls were a dull yellow that made the whole space feel closed, and even with the windows open. I researched contractors online, got multiple quotes, chose a local crew with good reviews. We ripped out the old flooring and laid down solid oak hardwood that felt warm and substantial underfoot. Painted the walls a soft cream tone that caught the light. Better replaced the outdated ceiling fixture with pendant lights that cast a gentle glow over the table during dinners. I even added new baseboards and a fresh coat on the trim to tie it all together. Nothing flashy, just quality work that made the room inviting. Mom cried happy tears the day it was finished. She walked around touching the new surfaces, hand over her mouth. "Now we can actually have people over without feeling ashamed of the place," she said, pulling me into a hug. "You've made this feel like a real home." I believed her. Believed we were finally creating something solid, a space where holidays and birthdays could happen without awkwardness. I handled all the paperwork myself. Mom suggested it early on. "You're the one who deals with numbers every day. Carla, better if you sign the contracts and handle the payments." I didn't think twice. I put down the deposits from my checking account, scheduled the inspections, made sure the crew got paid on time. Reimbursements came slowly, checks from Mom and Michael over several months, but I didn't mind. It felt like investing in us in belonging. Zane never offered to chip in. Michael's son from his previous marriage, a few years older than me, always drifting between short-term jobs, warehouse shifts, delivery routes, construction gigs that ended abruptly. He'd show up back at the house when things fell apart, duffel bag in hand, filling the space with his loud voice and restless pacing. Mom would smooth it over, defending him every time. "He's going through a rough patch," she'd say if I mentioned the mess he left or the late rent he owed somewhere else. I went along helping out in small ways, a couple hundred for gas when he claimed an interview across state covering a utility bill once when Mom asked quietly over the phone. Thought it built bridges, showed I was all in on this family thing. The clock hung through every stage of the remodel, wrapped carefully while the walls were painted, rehung proudly in its central spot. Once the dust settled, I took over winding it, polishing the wood frame on weekends when I visited. It became my quiet ritual, a link to Dad in a room I'd helped transform. Sitting in my apartment that night, staring at the blank wall where I could hang something of my own someday, those choices felt less like generosity and more like quiet dues paid for a seat that was never truly mine. The dining room shone, now ready for gatherings, but the people filling it still treated me like the helpful outsider, the one who fixed problems and footed bills, but didn't quite belong under that ticking reminder of what I'd lost long ago. I sat in my apartment that night, the dim lamp casting long shadows across the room as the events replayed in sharp fragments. The silence felt heavier than usual, broken only by the occasional creak of the building and distant snow plows clearing the streets outside. Zane Larson had always carried an edge that set him apart in our blended setup. Michael's son from his earlier marriage, a few years my senior, around 37. He had the build of someone who relied on physical presence, broad frame, quick movements, a voice that carried whether he intended it or not. Jobs came and went for him, like seasons, a few months, stocking shelves at a big box store near the mall, a stretch loading trucks at a distribution center on the outskirts, even a brief run as a ride-share driver before complaints piled up. When opportunities dried up, he'd return to the house with bags and excuses, settling in until the next chance appeared. Mom accommodated every time. Elaine rearranged the spare room without complaint, stocked snacks he liked, deflected questions from neighbors or relatives. "He's figuring things out," she'd say, tone final. It preserved harmony with Michael, who stayed quiet on the subject, but clearly appreciated the lack of conflict. I watched the pattern form over years, Zane's returns becoming longer, his contributions shorter. He viewed me as peripheral from the beginning. Never quite stepsister, just Carla. When acknowledgement was unavoidable, he'd use the garage for projects without cleaning up, borrow kitchen appliances that migrated to his room, offer opinions on my choices, unasked career, too safe apartment, too small life, too predictable. I absorbed it, convincing myself patience bridged gaps in blended families. Mom reinforced the dynamic subtly. When tensions rose, she'd pull me aside. "Let it go. He's had it rougher." Or when Zane pushed boundaries. "Pick your battles. Michael's happy when things are smooth. I complied, believing compromise earned place. Christmas Eve built like any other, but undercurrents pulled stronger. Relatives arrived steadily. Uncles with bottles of wine. Aunts carrying dessert trays. Cousins chasing kids through the halls. The house filled with overlapping voices. Smells of baked ham and spiced cider drifting from the kitchen. Someone cued holiday classics on the speaker's soft instrumentals at first, then familiar vocals that prompted sing-alongs. Michael moved through it, all efficiently checking the oven timer, topping off glasses. Mom orchestrated from the center, directing seating, passing appetizers. Zane showed up fashionably late. Boots thudding snow on the entry mat, greeting louder than necessary to draw eyes his way. Dinner unfolded with practiced rhythm. Plates circulated stories, swapped updates on new jobs, grandkids' milestones, light complaints about winter heating bills. Laughter rose and fell, genuine in moments, strained in others. I joined conversations where I could. Refilling water glasses, helping clear courses. After plates emptied, the annual photo ritual began. Everyone migrated to the dining room, arranging in loose rows under the clock, the spot that framed shots perfectly year after year, capturing growth and changes against the warm backdrop I'd helped create. Kids up front on boosters, adults layered behind smiles, readied for the timer. I took my usual position near the middle, close enough for inclusion without dominating. Zane shifted suddenly, body checking me with deliberate force. "This is for my dad's actual family," he announced clearly, stepping into the center as I stumbled sideways. My hip caught the table corner hard. Dishes rattled. Gravy boat tip side scattered across the cloth and down my clothes. I hit the floor solidly, breath knocked out in a rush. The impact echoed in a sudden hush. A child's gasp cut through, then nothing. I lay there, stunned, pain spreading sharp from hip to ribs, waiting for hands to reach down or voices to intervene. Mom averted her gaze, fussing with spilled napkins. Michael glanced briefly, then returned to his phone. Zane held the posed satisfied smirk in place. No assistance came. The clock ticked on above, steady and indifferent, marking seconds, while illusions shattered completely. All the tolerance, the financial help, the remodel, it hadn't secured belonging. It had merely postponed this raw exposure of where I truly stood. I pushed myself up from the floor, brushing off the spilled food as best I could, while the room stayed frozen around me. No one moved to help. No voice cut through the awkward quiet. I grabbed my coat from the hook by the door, slipped on my boots, and walked out into the snowy night without a single word. The cold hit hard the second I stepped outside, wind whipping flakes across the porch, lights glow. My side ached with every breath, but I made it to the car, sliding behind the wheel and starting the engine to let the heater warm up. The driveway was already dusted white again, tires leaving fresh tracks as I backed out slowly, careful on the slick surface. Lansing streets were mostly empty this late on Christmas Eve, holiday lights twinkling from houses along the way. Families inside wrapped in warmth I no longer felt part of. The drive to my apartment took about 20 minutes with the cautious speed past the closed shops downtown, over the bridge where the Grand River reflected street lamps in broken shards, through neighborhoods where snow muffled everything. Hands gripped the wheel tighter than needed, knuckles white against the dashboard glow. The pain radiated in waves, a constant reminder, but I focused on the road wipers sweeping rhythmically. My phone buzzed in the cup holder. Mom's name first, then Zay's, then Mom again. I let each call ring out, screen lighting the interior briefly before going dark. By the time I parked in my spot behind the building, snow had started accumulating on the windshield again. I sat there a minute, engine idling, watching flakes melt on the glass. Finally shut it off, grabbed my things, and headed up the exterior stairs, key ready for the lock. Inside, the apartment felt smaller than usual. I dropped keys on the entry table, hung the coat, left boots by the door to drip on the mat. Didn't turn on main lights, just the small lamp in the living room, casting long shadows across the couch and bookshelves. Sank down heavy still in sweater and jeans, staring at the blank TV screen reflecting the room back at me. The phone buzzed again on the table, a text this time. "Zane, you're just a guest here. Stop making a fool of yourself." A guest? After everything? The word stung sharper than the cold outside. I set the phone face down, leaned back, and let the quiet settle. The building hummed faintly, neighbors' muffled TV somewhere above, heat pipes clinking as they expanded. Memories came unbidden, specific ones that painted the picture clearer than any broad regret. Like 18 months ago when Zane lost another job and needed reliable transportation for the next one lined up. He'd cornered me in the kitchen during a Sunday visit. Casual as ever. "Dealership has this used SUV. Decent miles, good for deliveries. Just need help with the down payment to get better terms." Mom nodded along from the sink. I transferred $1,500 that week, thinking it invested in stability. He bought the vehicle, but the job fell through and the money never came back. Excuses about unexpected registration fees, then silence. Or the spring before that when his apartment lease ended suddenly over late payments. Mom called one evening, voice hushed. "He's got nowhere lined up yet. Can you spot him first and last month's rent for a new place? Your credit's strong if we put it under your name temporarily. The landlord won't ask questions." I co-signed the application online that night, paid the deposit from savings. He moved in, stayed 6 months before skipping out on the last 2, leaving me to cover or face collections. Smaller instances stacked up, too, covering concert tickets when he forgot cash for a group outing Michael planned, paying for his portion of a tool set he claimed was for house projects, but used for side gigs that never panned out, even fronting costs for a certification course he swore would change things, only to drop it halfway. Each time, the request came wrapped in urgency and family obligation. Mom's pleas about keeping peace with Michael Zane's promises. It was just this once. I'd rationalized it as my role, the stable one, filling gaps, proving commitment in a setup that never fully welcomed me. In the dim light, those moments lined up like evidence. Not isolated favors, but a system where I absorbed costs to maintain equilibrium. The house remodel I'd funded, the paperwork I'd handled, the patience I'd extended, it all fed the same dynamic, useful when needed, disposable when inconvenient. The phone stayed silent now, no more buzzes. I got up, eventually made tea in the kitchen, steam rising against the window overlooking the snow-filled lot. The ache in my side had dulled to a steady throb, matching the clearer ache inside. No tears came, just a deep, exhausting recognition that efforts to belong had only highlighted how conditional it all was. I rinsed the mug, turned off the lamp, and headed to bed early, pulling covers high against the chill seeping through the walls. Sleep came slow, mind turning over the shift that had started hours earlier on that dining room floor. Morning sunlight cut through the half-open blinds as I stirred on the couch, a dull headache pulsing from the awkward sleep and everything that had crashed down the night before. The apartment was chilly. The radiator hadn't fully kicked in yet. I reached for my phone on the coffee table, intending to check work messages and call in if needed. The screen lit up with the usual notifications, but one stood out immediately. A push alert from the credit monitoring service I'd subscribed to a couple years back after a coworker got hit with identity theft. The banner read, "Alert, new account opened in your name." My thumb hovered a second before tapping it open. The app loaded the details slowly, and there it was, a new personal loan for $22,000 approved and dispersed with me, listed as co-signer. The lender was the community credit union I'd banked with forever, the same one downtown where I'd opened my first checking account in college. The origination date was recent enough to make my skin crawl. I sat up straighter, heart rate picking up as I scrolled through the summary. Attached images showed scanned documents, application form, ID copies, income verification pulled from old tax records somehow. The signature line bore my name in ink that looked close familiar slant on the letters, but the curves were off, the pressure uneven in places I never varied. Only someone who'd watched me sign checks or forms over years would attempt it, thinking the small differences wouldn't matter. Coffee forgotten. I opened my laptop on the kitchen counter and logged into the full credit report portal for a deeper look. The hard inquiry from the credit union had already hit, dropping my score a noticeable chunk. With the loan balance now reporting as active debt, the utilization ratio spiked, dragging the number down further. I'd worked hard to keep that score high, paying cards in full, never missing due dates, building it brick by brick for security for options. Seeing it eroded overnight felt like watching savings evaporate. The vehicle purpose was listed clearly: auto purchase. A truck, probably Zane had been complaining about his old one breaking down constantly. Pieces clicked too neatly. I picked up the phone and dialed the credit union's direct line, the one for member concerns I'd saved once for a disputed charge. The hold music played softly while the system verified my account. Finally, Sarah came on, mid-40s, voice calm and experienced, the type who handled upset callers daily without rushing. After security questions, I asked her to pull the loan file. She typed for a minute, then confirmed the basics: primary borrowers, Elaine Larson and Zane Larson, funds released for a new pickup truck registered in Zane's name. Your profile was used for co-signing approval, she said carefully. Supporting docs include joint account history from years ago and the signature page. I asked about the signature specifically. She described it over the line, matching most traits but with inconsistencies in the flourish on the Y and spacing between letters. Close enough for automated systems, she noted, but a manual review would flag it. She walked me through the immediate effects: the inquiry alone cost points, the open balance raised debt to income perceptions for any future applications, and missed payments, if they happened, would tank it worse. This could block pre-approvals for mortgages, better rates on anything financed, even some rental applications these days, she explained gently. Her tone stayed professional, but there was empathy underneath. If you didn't authorize this, it's treated as fraud. We freeze reporting to bureaus pending investigation, but you need to come in for the originals and file the affidavit. Nico, she offered slots that afternoon, understanding in her voice when I said I'd be there soon. Hanging up, I stood at the sink a long moment, water running cold over my hands. The betrayal had shaped now. Dollars attached, future plans disrupted. All those shared statements from when Mom needed help managing bills after Dad died, the access I'd given thinking it built trust, it had become ammunition instead. I dressed quickly, jeans, sweater, boots for the slush outside, and grabbed the folder Sarah had mentioned printing for me. The drive downtown was short, traffic light on the post-holiday roads. Parking near the branch, I walked in with purpose, ready to see the papers myself and set the record straight. I drove straight from the credit union parking lot to Mom's house. The folder of fraud documents on the seat beside me like quiet evidence I no longer needed to hide. The streets of Lansing were slushy from melting snow, tires hissing through puddles as I turned into the familiar subdivision. Pulling up, the house looked the same, holiday wreath still on the door, Michael's truck in the driveway. I parked behind it, took a breath, and walked to the entrance. Knocked firmly instead of using my key. Mom opened after a moment. Surprise flashing across her face before worry settled in. Carla, you're here early. Come inside. It's cold. She stepped aside, sweater wrapped tight around her. Zane was in the living room, lounging on the couch with a mug TV on low with some morning show. He muted it when I entered, sitting up with that defensive posture he defaulted to. What's this about? He asked, tone already edged. I stayed standing near the entry. The loan, $22,000 for your truck. My name on it as co-signer. I just came from the credit union. Mom closed the door softly, moving to stand between us like a buffer. Let's sit and talk. There might be a mix-up. No mix-up. I pulled out phone, opened the app with the saved doorbell clip. This is from a few weeks back after one of my visits. I hit play volume enough to fill the space. Zane's recorded voice came clear, laughing with Mom on the porch, casual about the application. She'll cover it if push comes to shove. She always ends up handling the money stuff for the house anyway. Mom's quieter agreement followed. Then the door closing, the playback ended. Zane's face reened, mouth opening then closing. Mom reached for the phone, but I pocketed it. That's how it was planned, I said evenly, without asking me. Mom's hands twisted the sweater hem. It was only meant to be temporary. The dealer needed better credit for approval, and yours is strong. Zane promised to refinance soon. Take your name off once payment started. Zane found his voice. You're overreacting as usual. We've borrowed smaller things before. And it worked out. This isn't that different. The words confirmed everything the report had shown. Small things I agreed to. This I didn't. Mom's eyes welled. We never meant harm. Just trying to get him stable new truck for better jobs. Thought you'd see it as helping family. Zane stood now closer. Family helps family. You make good money. No kids draining it. What's the big deal? The room felt smaller, tension thick. I kept my voice level. The big deal is my credit. My future used without permission. Mom stepped nearer, pleading, please, Carla, we can fix payments, add you to the title or something. Don't make this bigger. Zane crossed arms. Yeah, chill. Calling it fraud is extreme. Hearing them frame it as my overreaction sealed the shift inside. No more justifying. No more absorbing. I turned toward the door. Where are you going? Mom asked, voice rising. To finish what needs doing? I walked outdoor, clicking shut behind. The drive back downtown was direct traffic light. Mid-morning. Radio off again. Parked in the same credit union lot. Walked in with purpose. Sarah met me at the counter leading to the same small office. The investigator was already there. Older man, calm demeanor, notebook open. He reviewed the folder I'd brought, nodding at the printouts. We went through formalities, additional questions about access to my info over years, timelines of when I'd last shared statements or login. I answered precisely old joint account from helping Mom post dad passwords she'd known for emergencies. He requested fresh signature samples, multiple lines on forms, varying speed to show natural range. Compared them live to the loan page scans, pointing out inconsistencies even I hadn't noticed initially. Angle of crosses, dot placement on eyes. Sarah prepared the full fraud packet affidavit, sworn dispute letters to bureaus, freeze requests. I signed where needed, pen steady. The investigator explained reporting internal hold on the account, credit bureaus notified for deletion pending outcome, potential escalation if patterns suggested broader issues. Walking out later, folder thicker with confirmed copies. The decision felt complete. No second thoughts, no outreach needed. Protection in place. Future safeguarded without further words to them. I left the credit union with a signed affidavit and supporting documents in a neat folder, the weight of them lighter than expected as I stepped back into the crisp Lansing air. The following weeks passed in a series of emails and phone calls from the investigator, requests for additional bank statements, clarification on timelines, confirmation of the handwriting samples I provided. Each response from me was prompt, factual, building the case step by step without emotion clouding the details. The hearing notice arrived by mail soon after setting the date at the Ingham County 55th District Court in downtown Lansing. I prepared quietly, printing extra copies of everything, dressing in simple business attire the morning of arriving early to find parking near the older brick building that housed most local civil and misdemeanor matters. Security at the entrance was routine. Bag through the scanner, walk through the detector, retrieve items on the other side. The hallway smelled faintly of floor polish and coffee from a vending machine. I found the assigned courtroom on the directory and took a seat in the gallery, watching other cases cycle through. Traffic disputes, small claims, landlord issues. The room itself was functional: beige walls, wooden benches, worn smooth, fluorescent lights humming overhead, American and Michigan flags flanking the judge's bench. When our case was called, the bailiff directed us forward. Mom and Zane were already present on the opposite side, accompanied by a court-appointed attorney in a rumpled suit. Mom wore a plain sweater, hair pulled back, hands clasped tightly in her lap. Zane sat with arms folded, jaw set, staring ahead rather than acknowledging me. The prosecutor, a composed woman named Ms. Reynolds, with short dark hair and a navy blazer, stood first to outline the complaint. She presented the lone file, methodically projecting pages onto a screen for clarity. The application form listing me as co-signer without my knowledge, copied identification pulled from old shared records. The signature page where the forgery was evident even to untrained eyes. She highlighted the investigator's report, side-by-side comparisons showing deviations in letter formation, pressure patterns, and spacing that no coincidence could explain. Next came the audio from the doorbell camera played through the courtroom system. Zane's voice filled the space, casual, dismissive, assuming I'd handle the fallout as always. The clip ended abruptly, leaving an uncomfortable silence that no one rushed to fill. Mom took the stand when called. She swore in quietly, voice trembling as she confirmed signing the documents and providing the supporting information. It was meant to be short-term. She repeated, eyes fixed on the rail in front of her. Zane needed the truck for work, and the dealer wouldn't approve without stronger credit backing. I thought we'd refinance soon, remove Carla's name before it affected her. The prosecutor asked follow-up questions about consent, whether I'd been informed, agreed, or even discussed. Mom admitted no direct conversation had occurred. We assumed she'd understand it was for family. Zane's turn came next. He stood confidently at first, claiming the arrangement was informal family support, pointing to past instances where I'd helped with smaller amounts. She's always been the one with a good job, he said. This wasn't supposed to be permanent. His attorney tried steering toward misunderstanding rather than intent, but the questions pinned him down. No emails, no texts, no verbal, "okay," from me. Ms. Reynolds countered smoothly, referencing the audio as evidence of premeditation and the lack of any communication trail showing my involvement. Relatives filled several benches behind, aunts, uncles, a couple cousins who'd driven in. Their expressions ranged from uncomfortable shifts to quiet disapproval as the details unfolded publicly. The judge, a woman in her late 50s with silver-streaked hair and a direct gaze, listened without interruption, taking notes on a legal pad. She reviewed the exhibits during a brief recess, pages rustling in the quiet. When she returned, her ruling came measured and clear. The evidence established unauthorized use of identity with intent to obtain credit, meeting the elements for fraud under state statute. No ambiguity in the forgery or the expectation I'd bear the burden. Restitution was ordered immediately and fully, the entire principal of $22,000 plus accrued interest and administrative fees to be paid through the court to clear my record completely. Zane directed to liquidate the purchased truck within 30 days to cover the majority, with any deficiency split jointly. Mom required to enroll in and complete a certified financial literacy and responsibility program. Her credit profile flagged accordingly for the standard 7-year reporting period, impacting future borrowing, rentals, even some employment checks. The judge noted the family relationship as mitigating for sentencing: no incarceration at this stage, but a permanent record unless payments defaulted. Probation terms included no further contact with my financial information. As the gavel fell, Mom turned toward me from her seat, eyes pleading through tears. "Carla, wait. We can figure payments, talk outside." Zane muttered something under his breath, face flushed. I gathered my folder calmly. "The court figured it for us. No raised voice, just statement. I walked past the relatives' averted gazes and hushed murmurs down the polished hallway out the heavy doors into bright winter sunlight. The relief washed over as I reached the parking lot, shoulders loosening, breath easier, like shedding a weight carried too long unnoticed. Justice here wasn't fireworks. It was structure, consequences assigned properly. Space created for moving forward unencumbered for the first time in years. Months passed in the familiar rhythm of Lansing life, seasons shifting from lingering snow to spring green along the Grand River trails I walked on weekends. Work at the accounting firm stayed steady. Client meetings, tax deadlines, the quiet satisfaction of balanced ledgers. My apartment became more mine each day. Small touches added, like new bookshelves and plants by the window. News of the fallout filtered in gradually, not through direct contact, but the way word travels in a mid-sized city. Zane struggled most visibly. The fraud record showed up on every background check for decent jobs, warehouses, retail management, even delivery companies that required clean financial history for handling cash or vehicles. Applications rejected one after another, excuses thin. He ended up back at the house, full-time sharing space with Michael, in an atmosphere that turned tense. Quickly, arguments over bills, space, blame echoing through walls thin enough for neighbors to notice. Mom and Michael unraveled soon after. The restitution payments strained budgets, already tight, arguments escalating from whispers to shouts about money priorities and embarrassment in front of friends. Relatives stopped inviting them to gatherings. Polite excuses masking discomfort over the public hearing details that spread through family chats. They separated formally by summer, papers filed quietly housed for sale to cover debts. Mom downsized to a small rental on the south side, selling furniture and keepsakes at weekend garage sales to make ends meet, dining table where holidays happen, china. She'd collected pieces I'd grown up with, dispersed to strangers. I heard these updates secondhand through a cousin at the grocery store, an old neighbor at the coffee shop, never seeking them out. My phone stayed silent from their numbers deleted early on, along with old group texts and shared albums. No messages answered, no calls returned, boundaries held firm. One quiet Saturday in early fall, I drove to the old house for the last time. The for sale sign stood in the yard, leaves scattered across the driveway. The place felt empty even before I entered, echoes in hallways, rooms stripped of personal touches. The clock still hung in its spot, ticking faithfully despite everything. I took it down, carefully wrapped in a towel, carried to the car, like retrieving a piece of myself left behind too long. Back in my apartment, I hung its center wall above the fireplace mantel, the focal point when entering the living room. The crack in the glass caught light differently here. The hands moved with the same deliberate pace. Sitting with coffee one morning, listening to the steady tick to talk fill the space, it sounded like freedom rather than loss. A reminder of roots without chains. Weekends settled into comfortable routines. Long walks along the riverfront trail as leaves turned color. Trying new cafes downtown with outdoor seating. Reading on the balcony when weather allowed. Work promotions came, recognition for consistent performance, added responsibilities that felt earned rather than owed. Evenings alone weren't lonely anymore. They were chosen, peaceful. The consequences weren't dramatic revenge. They were natural outcomes of choices made. Zane's opportunities narrowed, Mom's social circle shrank, Michael's fresh start complicated by divided assets. They navigated it without my involvement, as adults should. Looking back from this quieter place, the lesson crystallized clearly. Respect in blended families, or any family, has to flow both ways, built on trust rather than assumption. When that trust gets exploited, repeatedly shattered by deception over something as fundamental as identity and security, the healthiest path isn't endless forgiveness or forced reconciliation. It's stepping away completely without explanations owed or backward glances needed, letting actions speak their own truth. The clock ticks on my wall, now steady as ever, a sound from childhood reclaimed on my terms. It reminds me daily that self-worth isn't negotiated or earned through sacrifice. It's protected fiercely when necessary. And in that protection, real peace finally arrived.